So I started my company with a laptop and $3,000.
Allison Harrison built a thriving law firm by focusing on visibility, culture, and momentum, not whatever topic or tactic was trending that week. By the end of this episode, you'll learn how to find the right marketing platform for your business and how to grow your business without pretending to be someone you're not.
Hello, Allison. Thank you so much for coming on the Joe Show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to have a good conversation today.
You opened your law firm at 27 years old. What did your business look like in year one?
I mean, it was shotgun budget, right? At 27, I think everyone is on not a fixed income, but certainly not a large one. And so I started my company with a laptop and $3,000. Like that's literally all I had to my name. I had just bought a condo and had a mortgage payment and was like, well, I got to make this work. So I had Excel and a word processor and I figured out how to draft my own website, set up my email, and I just started going to networking events. And I had a few clients that came with me. And so I focused on giving them all-star service because they were the way I was going to pay my mortgage.
So was the impetus enough to keep you keeping faith in the fact that your business would grow? Or was there a point where you just wondered if it was going to make it, whether you'd be able to keep the doors open or?
When I started, so I got let go from a different law firm. And I remember calling my dad when I was like, okay, I got let go. I think I'm going to start my own firm. And he said, great, we're here for you. You need anything, let us know. We knew you were never made to be an employee. You were always made to own your own business. And I was like, what the heck? Like, that's just rude. Like, but looking back a decade later, I'm like, yeah, no, you were 100% correct.
So as far as marketing for you, I love knowing parents are there for you.
I say it takes a little bit of the stress of like, if I seriously can't make my mortgage payment, I can call and they'll help me through that and come up with a plan to go forward.
So 4 years ago, someone that you'd hired casually suggested you should start a TikTok account. Did you feel like it was a serious strategy or did you dismiss it initially?
No, as soon as she said it, I was like, great, do it. Like, what do you need from me? Because I knew TikTok was up and coming. People were on it. I had never downloaded the app, so I didn't know, but I was like, I know people are on it. I know it's a place where folks are getting information. I don't want to be behind the 8 ball because if it blows up, we need to like be on it and be at the forefront, not be trying to play catch up. And so, yeah, I think she mentioned it in like March of, I can't remember what year, 21, I think. And by, I don't know, 2 or 3 months later, we were up and running and we're kind of just playing around with it, figuring out what the heck do we do with this?
Do you remember the first moment where you realized this is actually working? As far as a legitimate marketing aspect for your business?
You know, what's funny is it actually helped in a different way than I ever anticipated. And it was building camaraderie with my team.
I love that.
Because we would shoot the videos together and a lot of them were funny. Some were informational, but it was the fun ones that people really got into and then created this like bond and culture. And so that leads to great client experiences because we have a happy team, a connected team. And so, yes, we do get some leads from TikTok, but it really was the culture that came around it that was the like surprise and delight of going down this rabbit hole.
That's excellent. Truly a good place to work. You get to make TikToks together.
I mean, it's an interview question. Are you comfortable making TikToks? And so, we're very transparent. Like you'll probably be asked at some point.
It's good to ask that up front. I've seen many employees who grumble at, it's just not their style to post on social. And then they're suddenly expected to because the firm decides, we've got to do this and causes some upheaval.
I've had other, I feel like in 2021, I got a reset. I had a whole big turnover. And so I had been trying to do more video before then. And the team I had at the time was resistant. And then we just naturally had turnover. And so it was like fresh start. Like, let's just make this part of the hiring process.
Yeah, very, very smart. So your law firm's scaled quite well. You won plenty of awards and known as a leader really in your space. I've seen many times in businesses when they start to grow, things break very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
As you started growing through social media, what first broke behind the scenes? Is there anything that you're willing to share for that?
It's hard to say what broke first. I can say what we're going through right now, which is as we add people, making sure there's consistency. As a business owner, everything lives in your head and you're like, well, of course everyone knows this. They don't. And no one should live in my head. It's a terrifying place for me to like try and sort it out. There's no way I should expect my team. And so what we're going through right now is we're working on some serious growth in 2026 as well, is making sure that we're clear. Let's take all the things that over the time we've gotten in everyone's head and let's put it on paper. so that as we add people, it's not a mysterious, mystery. It is very clear what our process is. How do we handle intakes? What's our follow-up? What's our turnaround time on communication? Those things, so that we have less things break. Things are going to break, but less, hopefully.
You've said that you didn't initially lean into your identity as a queer business owner. What held you back from that earlier?
I think it's really fear, right? In 2010, we were a very different country and a different state. So I'm in Columbus, Ohio. And I think it was just like the freedom of like, you're going to be okay. Like, it's not, we were out of don't ask, don't tell, right? Like, we're out of this, like, you need to stay in the closet. I mean, that was part of it. And some of it was just like me being more comfortable in who I am. I remember like early on, before I really embraced it, I did a post about pride, and my parents called me and are like, "You're going to lose clients." And I go, "I don't know that I am." And I didn't. And then, I started my firm representing used car dealers, and I still do to this day. They're some of my best clients and I love them. But they generally are conservative. And so I remember just like casually mentioning at the time my girlfriend, now my wife, and no one reacted. I was like, I think I can do this. Like, I think I can embrace who I am, because no one is like hanging up the phone or preaching to me or otherwise, not going to utilize my services. It wasn't a deterrent. And once I figured that out, I was like, there's plenty of people who will use me because I'm a queer law firm. And the people who can use my services, know me, love me. That is not going to change their mind about, utilizing our services. And so I was like, well, let's just do it. And so it just helped over time. I felt much more comfortable embracing it.
It fits perfectly with, I repeat this a lot because I think it's important, but Seth Godin talks about finding the smallest possible audience, or, it's always a much more effective way to market than to try to market to everybody anyway.
You can't do it.
I'm very big, as I've said to you, on building a business in a way that suits who you are, because that's what's going to serve you in the long term. You can bring your best to your team and to your clients, which you've done. It just lets you kind of breathe and get on with the job without all the extra stuff.
It's allowed me to be happier, right? I'm not hiding it. I'm really embracing it. And our clients love it. We had a client, oh gosh, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, straight, I think white woman, was just like, oh, I picked you because you guys look liberal and I don't want to use a conservative attorney. And I was like, it was for like a business plan. It was something that would naturally lend itself to more conservative. And so I was like, yeah, we found our market, which is, providing a space for progressive minded folks who need help.
When your marketing became more aligned with who you actually serve and feeling more comfortable about building the business according to who you are, has it changed the quality of your clients? I mean, you've just mentioned the lady who came in for the business plan. Is there anybody else that comes to mind that you would just say, I never imagined I would have been able to work on a case like this if I hadn't built the way I have?
It's interesting. We have a couple of cases that have come in, and not necessarily through marketing, but just developing relationships. It's a client that I've had for 5 or 6 years that loves us and referred us a really great case where we're suing a state agency for constitutional violations. It's a cool case. You don't get in law school, they tell you a lot about the Constitution, how you're going to run into issues, and you don't. And so to have a case come across my plate that's like, you get to sue under the US Constitution, is really cool. But that was more about forging relationships. The thing about our marketing that's been wonderful is we're just getting more diverse businesses and individuals that come in. We have LGBTQ couples who come in because they want to get their plan together before they leave the country because they don't know what's going to happen, or my favorite are helping trans folks get the right documentation, getting their name changed. It's one of the most rewarding things. And in legal, so few things bring joy, but being able to change names is huge. I did it for one woman who came in and she'd gotten divorced. And I was like, do you want your maiden name? She goes, no, I'm no one's person. I am my own. I want my own last name. And I was like, respect. Let's get you your own last name. And that was like a wonderful thing where like someone left the meeting and the result was just sheer happiness.
I know that feeling, even as somebody who's straight. When I started a new chapter of my life and I got to pick my surname, I had a grandma who used to dance on the table at midnight and fill the pool with floating like water balloons and candles.
I love her. So
I took her surname. And it feels wonderful, that feeling of I am my own person. So last year was your best year for AHL Law Group. And I think if I'm correct, you're tracking close to doubling that. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say
darn
there
near.
is one major factor driving that, or is it a combination?
I think the major through line is we've had a consistent team. We added people in 24 and lost them and added new people. But in 25, no one's left. We have added 2 new people in the fourth quarter. And so having the core team that's been here the whole year, and then they really help and make sure onboarding works for the 2 new people that we added in the fourth quarter is, I think, has helped a ton. They get the systems, they're in the rhythm, and they're happy to work here. That's the other part, is they've worked here for a year or 2, and they're telling their friends and they're telling their classmates, and so that definitely helps from a referral standpoint.
I think I need to connect you with Paul Zelizer, who I interviewed this week, who runs the Awarepreneurs podcast and also coaches social impact businesses. And he's talking about,
I would love that.
He said it's a small study, but just showing how they actually are more profitable. But once they get the foundations right, exactly as you've been describing, going slow to go fast. So I'll link that episode in the notes for this one for anyone interested, but I also need to remember to send you his details, because I think the work that he's doing and where you're positioned just aligns beautifully. Your
I
firm's,
love that.
yeah, often described as the most approachable law firm. What does that mean in practice?
No one here talks in legalese, right? I remember reading different briefs and in my career, and I actually remember my old firm, I got in trouble because they're like, this is too simple. And I was like, what do you mean it's too simple? Like, I want the person I'm sending it to understand it. And that it also comes down to, what do we wear? We don't dress up in suits unless we have to go to court. So if you come meet with us, we're probably in jeans and a sweater, or sometimes a hoodie, because nothing is more uncomfortable than walking into a room where everyone's more dressed up than you, and you feel like you don't fit in. We work with people who own auto body repair shops. That one guy does manufacturing of like food stuff. We represent all these different folks, and none of them wear suits. And so that's also part of it, is we speak in plain English and we dress in an approachable manner.
That's actually a very powerful reinforcement for another Seth Godin maxim. I'm going to sound like a Seth Godin fangirl.
Oh, I'm a huge Seth Godin fangirl too, so you're okay.
Where he says people like us do things like this, and I always try to put that in the creative for the posts that I make for clients when I'm running traffic or blogs or whatever, the visuals. But when people walk into your office, exactly the same thing. You don't feel like you're the dumbest person in the room when you're paying for help. So that's a huge relief, I think, for people, and just to be able to focus on the problem rather than how they're feeling about being there. So
yeah, and we want to make a space where everyone feels comfortable, because then you're more truthful, right? As attorneys, we have to work with the truth. And if you don't feel comfortable, your guard is up and you're not sharing information.
That's a very, very good point. What would you say to business owners, professionals who are still relying on referrals and hoping that that's enough to grow their business?
Referrals are great. But if your referral network dries up, or that one referral source is gone, you don't have a business. But also, so we do the social media aspect. We're on pretty much everything except for Twitter. It's top of mind. You want to grow your referral source, continue to be top of mind. They're on social. And that's one thing that I started being much more active on LinkedIn, and I noticed a huge uptick in our referrals because I was making posts and content, because I'm top of mind for those folks.
That's very good. I think people fall into the trap of thinking, oh, people know I'm there. McDonald's still advertises. They still think they need to. Top of mind is exactly where it needs to be at. So TikTok's working well. LinkedIn has worked well for you as well. What would you say, how should business owners think about finding their platform?
I think it look at who your top referral sources are and your top clients, because they're like, for me, LinkedIn isn't for clients. LinkedIn is for referral sources. And I found some wonderful, like, I hired an attorney because I befriended her father-in-law on LinkedIn and made a connection. Like, that was a wonderful surprise. But that is the strategy that I utilize on LinkedIn, is referral sources. And then TikTok is for younger entrepreneurs. And then we have Facebook and Instagram that are kind of like the middle ground, more broad target. But it's build your client avatar. Where are they? And if you're going direct to clients, then, be on the platform that they're on. If you're targeting referral sources and that's what you want to continue to do, where are your referral sources? That's the platform.
Do you blend paid traffic with organic as well, or do you just rely on organic and referrals?
We We do local service ads through Google. The analytics on that are very interesting because we don't see conversion on the local service ads, but if we turn them off, our Google ranking drops. And so we keep them on because there's a benefit, albeit indirect. So I think we're looking more at maybe like, we might look at more of a pay-per-click strategy in 26. We're vetting some new marketing folks right now.
It's an interesting combination, I think, for your services of a long consideration time for some things, like people thinking I really should get that estate planning sorted, or moments of crisis where they're going to click now and come in.
Yeah. If you look at our conversion rates on litigation cases, those convert quicker than estate planning because one, you have a limited time to respond, and the other, you don't think you're going to ever die. So you take your time.
Yep. Someone just types in attorney near me and says, right, I need you now.
Yep.
So has your confidence as a founder changed between year one and now?
Yes. And I don't know if it's from so many years of doing this or just age. I remember 2 years ago, I said to my wife, I was like, oh, I saw a Rivian and I really wanted to take a test drive, but I wasn't old enough. Like that's mentally what I thought. And she looks at me and she's like, you idiot, you're old enough. And I was like, yeah, I realized that like several blocks later that I was in fact old enough. But after that point, it was something that was shifting in me at the time that it's like, you can do this. You are doing the right thing. You're mature enough. You kind of know what you're doing. And that only happened 2-ish years ago.
If you had to describe what it means to you personally to serve clients who previously didn't feel represented or understood, how would you articulate that?
It's one of the best rewards in life. I get to educate people on the worst day of their life, give them a clear path to an outcome that is better than they had mentally thought. It's usually what our services do. And I can't think of anything better, more personally rewarding than to do that. There's certainly times where you want to hit your head against the wall because it's tough. But at the end of the day, when the client gives you a hug or a handshake or says thank you, it's huge.
It's a massive moment in somebody's life and quite an honor to be part of helping create that with them. You're deeply involved in advocacy boards, chambers. How do the roles there, the work you do there, shape how you run your business?
They help give me more larger picture context. Like I'm the president of the Diversity Chamber. It's the LGBTQ chamber. I get to interact with all these different business owners. What are their struggles? Well, that's wonderful because my business supports business owners, right? And so that's an added benefit of I'm seeing other folks that maybe aren't hiring attorneys or interacting with them and like what's their hang up? What are their needs? Is there a way that we can support that? I work with Stonewall, our community center. Again, LGBTQ is what does the community need? What are they afraid of? Is there a way that I can help support that because I'm uniquely positioned? And so in 25, we did these clinics. How do you protect your family? How do you protect your kids? How do you protect your marriage? Because in the US, we were very concerned that marriage was going out the window. I get to educate. And that's kind of how I think of like our role is we get to educate you, help you understand this crazy world we live in to the best that we can. And so it's been really cool to do some of those things to help a larger scale than we're able to at our firm.
If someone's listening and they're where you were 11 years ago, so they're talented and capable, they might be a bit quiet still, what would you want them to hear?
Be loud. That's like, honestly, it's the biggest takeaway. People, like I've had another person who's in the insurance space and they wanted to really support the LGBTQ community. And I was like, just show up. Like the basic things of like growing or starting is like be loud so people notice you and show up. If you show up regularly, whether it's a referral source and you go out to lunch once a month, they're thinking about you once a month. If it is, you really want to support this community, just show up. No one's going to be mad that you showed up at a volunteer event or, and so they're really basic things.
It is, isn't it? It's basic time-honored wisdom, and yet some of us need the kick along to go and do that sort of thing. So when you look back at this chapter of your career, what are you most proud of building, if you sum that up?
Oh, gosh, Joe, you're making this hard. I don't know that I have an answer for that. I
Okay, you give me a list.
I'm really proud of building a safe space for folks who don't fit, quote unquote, like a traditional legal services. And I'm really proud that, like you said, we're the approachable firm. There's probably a million other things I'm proud of. I'm proud of, all the work I've been able to do in the LGBTQ community. I've created an amazing culture. And I don't know that For the first year and a half, I had any idea that I was doing it. But now that I know it, I want to keep growing it. I think
extremely valuable. And creating a culture in your business where people want to be is totally underrated by so many businesses. Totally. So that you've done that and will continue.
It's a game changer.
Is fantastic. I think that moves out into every aspect of the service that your business provides to clients, because it's not just meet the principle of the law firm, hand over your money to the trust account, and then get given somebody who forgets to turn on the camera when they're taking a deposition, or, just that's not who you are and how your team operates.
I want people to be excited to come to work. Sometimes the work's not all, enthralling. It's certainly every area has its doldrums, but I want people to be excited because they like who they work with. They like the space that they're working in. And ideally they like most of their work, and they feel supported.
You are one of the best examples of somebody who has built a business to suit who they are, and also taking advantage of the marketing and honing in on exactly what works.
Hard. It's hard to do, but
it's very hard to be consistent with this, and that's totally what people don't expect, but you're doing it. If people wanted to contact you, where are you most active personally?
Personally, LinkedIn is,
yep.
My team schedules posts, but I also do a lot of unique, specific content that I actually craft. That's not my team.
So we'll make sure that's easy to find in the description. Thank you, Allison. It was great.
Thank you, Joe. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.